Hey everyone, I hope you all are doing great. Welcome back to the biggest and best learner's license help channel in South Africa. Today we're going to be diving into some updated and challenging questions from the Prohibition road sign category. Now if this is a section that you've been struggling with, then trust me, this video is made just for you. Let's get started and let's make sure you're 100% ready for your test. Now it's very important that we actually understand what a prohibition sign actually is. So prohibition signs are basically going to be your road signs that are going to tell you what you're not allowed to do, right? And they're usually going to be circular in shape, right? They can have a red border with a white background and they're going to have a symbol in there. And a lot of the prohibition signs are actually going to have a red line that's going to be going through it. Question 1. You're driving on a freeway with a 100 km per hour speed limit sign. Suddenly, the road clears up and you are running late. You accelerate to 115 km per hour to make up time, but you maintain full control of your vehicle and you obey all other rules. Which of the following is true regarding your action? Is it option A? It is acceptable as long as you don't exceed 120 km per hour, which is the general freeway limit. Is it option B? It is illegal because the 100 km per hour sign specifically overrides the general freeway limit. It is only illegal if you are caught by a speed camera or stopped by an officer. Or is it option D? It is allowed if you are overtaking and there are no other vehicles nearby. Now our question mentions that you are driving on a freeway and you see a 100 km per hour speed limit sign. Automatically you should know that it will be illegal for you to drive above 100 km per hour. Therefore, option B is going to be our correct answer. It is illegal because the 100 km per hour sign specifically overrides the general freeway limit. Remember, the general freeway limit would be 120 km per hour. But because there is a speed limit sign on this freeway, you have to obey the sign and do exactly as it says. Question 2. You are driving a delivery truck with a GVM of 11.5 tons. But it is currently loaded with goods that bring the total weight to 12.4 tons. Now you approach a mass limit sign of 12 T. What must you do? Now automatically from the question we know that our GVM would be 12.4 tons, which is well over the 12 ton limit. So you should therefore look for an answer indicating that you are not allowed to drive in that lane or on that road. Now if we look at our answers, option A would be proceed because the truck's official GVM is under the 12 ton limit. That is incorrect. With option B it says proceed because temporary loads are not considered in the restriction. Again, that is also incorrect. With option C it says stop and take an alternate route because the actual weight exceeds the 12 ton restriction, and that is actually correct. Now another thing that you should actually keep in mind is that you should never ever memorize a question, because I can guarantee you will never get a question that's exactly like this, right? Understand how to answer it and understand what the road sign is actually telling you to do. Because in that case, you'll be able to answer any question, right? No matter how they phrase the question, you will always get it correct. Question 3. You are transporting light construction equipment using a small flatbed truck. While the total vehicle mass is within legal limits, your rear axle carries 2.3 tons. You approach a road with an axle mass load limit of 2 tons. What must you do? Is it option A, proceed slowly to avoid damaging the road? Is it option B, continue driving because the overall vehicle weight is below the limit? Is it option C, stop and redistribute the load evenly between axles and then continue? Or is the correct answer option D, turn back or reroute as the rear axle exceeds the 2 ton limit? Automatically, option D should be your correct answer because that is instructing you to not be on that road since your rear axle is going to exceed the 2 ton limit. Therefore, option D will be our correct answer. You are transporting cargo on a truck with an overall height of 4.38 meters. However, upon arriving at a bridge marked with a height limit of 4.42 meters, you notice heavy suspension bounce when driving over bumps. What is the safest course of action? Now remember, when they mention a suspension bounce, it means that as you're going over this road, your vehicle is going to be bouncing, and that means that the overall height is no longer just going to be 4.38 meters. Remember, if your vehicle is bouncing, your height is going to be above 4.38 meters. And since the height limit is just 4.42 meters, it means that your vehicle will actually hit the top. So is it option A, proceed slowly to ensure you clear the bridge without bouncing? Is it option B, proceed as your measured height is within the posted limit? Is it option C, avoid the route and find an alternative path to eliminate any risk of collision? Or is it option D, reduce the tire pressure slightly to lower the vehicle's height and then proceed? Now the correct answer here is going to be option C. You need to avoid the route and find an alternative path in order to eliminate any risk of collision. A truck tractor pulling a semi-trailer has a total length of 14.6 meters. The driver plans to add a rear-mounted loading platform that will extend the total length to 15.2 meters. Now if the route includes a length limit, which is a 15 meter sign, what is the legal and most appropriate response? Is it option A, proceed with caution as 15.2 meters is only slightly over the limit? Remember, it can even be slightly over the limit. As long as you are over the limit, it's not allowed. Option B, it says proceed during off-peak hours to avoid obstructing traffic. Again, that's going to be incorrect. You are not allowed to enter the lane at all. With option C, it says modify the vehicle's configuration to stay within the 15 meter limit or take an alternate route. Now that is the correct answer. So option C will be your correct answer. A delivery vehicle has a body width of 2.05 meters. But when the side mirrors are extended, the total width becomes 2.22 meters. Now the driver wants to enter a road marked with a width limit of 2.1 meters. What should the driver do? Is it option A, enter because the body of the vehicle is under 2.1 meters? Now remember, your mirrors are going to be attached to the body of the vehicle. So if that's beyond the 2.1 meter mark, then your vehicle is still not going to be able to enter. Is the correct answer option B, fold the mirrors temporarily to comply with the restriction before entering? That is incorrect. With option C, it says enter carefully, ensuring not to hit anything with the mirrors. If the road limit is going to be 2.1 meters, obviously your mirrors are going to actually hit something. So option C is incorrect. With option D, it says avoid entering as the total width including your mirrors is going to exceed 2.1 meters. Now option D is going to be your correct answer. So always look for the answer that's going to be telling you to avoid something or find another route, because 9 out of 10 times that's going to be the correct answer. A driver in a private sedan sees the unauthorized vehicles prohibited sign posted at the entrance to a government facility's surface road. The guard is temporarily away from the gate and no barrier is blocking the path. What is the correct legal action? Is it option A, enter quietly since no one is monitoring access? Is it option B, proceed through if the driver's vehicle is in good condition? Is it option C, wait for the guard's return to seek permission or find an alternative route? Or is it option D, enter and then explain to security that they had no choice? Now since option C is the only option that's going to tell us to either seek permission or find an alternative route, that is going to be your correct answer. While driving on a dual carriageway, you spot a left turn ahead prohibited sign 100 meters before a traffic light controlled intersection. You notice the road to the left leads to a residential area and there's no physical barrier preventing entry. What should a legally compliant driver do? Is it option A, turn left anyway if there's no traffic and you're familiar with the road? Or is it option B, continue straight or choose an alternative legal route to reach the area? Now that's going to be your correct answer. So option B is going to be your correct answer. Because if you look at the other options, if you look at option C, it says to turn left but drive slowly to avoid detection. Automatically that's going to be incorrect. With option D, it tells you to ignore the sign. Now you can never ever ignore a sign unless a traffic officer instructs you to do so. And since there's no traffic officer instructing you to ignore the sign, option D will be incorrect. Therefore, option B is going to be your correct answer. You are approaching a busy four-way intersection where a right turn ahead prohibited sign is clearly displayed. However, the traffic light is green and the GPS tells you to turn right to reach your destination faster. What is the correct course of action? Is it option A, follow the GPS and turn right quickly before any traffic officer notices? Is it option B, signal right but continue straight if other drivers seem confused? Is it option C, obey the sign and continue straight, finding a legal place to make a U-turn or detour? Or is the correct answer here option D, stop in the middle of the intersection and decide what to do based on the flow of the traffic? Now, A, B, and D are all going to be incorrect, right? Option C is only going to be the correct answer because it tells you to obey the sign and continue straight and find a legal place to make a U-turn or a detour. All the other options are going to be illegal. You are driving in a one-way street and notice a left turn prohibited sign just before the next intersection. There is no oncoming traffic and a passenger urgently tells you to turn left. What should you do and why? So automatically we should know that if there's a left turn prohibited sign, it means that you are not allowed to turn left under any circumstances. So option A says turn left since there's no oncoming traffic and it's urgent, and that's going to be incorrect. With option B, it says turn left slowly and be cautious because it is a one-way. That's going to be incorrect as well. Option C says stop and allow emergency vehicles to pass, then turn left when it's clear. You are not allowed to turn left at all, right? It's strictly prohibited. Therefore, option D will be our correct answer. Do not turn left under any circumstance, as doing so will violate road rules regardless of traffic or urgency. You approach an intersection displaying a right turn prohibited sign. The road to your right is clear with no traffic, but you are running late and consider turning right anyway to save time. Which of the following best describes the legal and safety implications of ignoring this sign? Is it option A? Turning right is acceptable if the road is clear and no other vehicles are affected. That's incorrect, because what you are doing is you are disobeying a road sign, which is illegal. Option B says ignoring the sign can lead to legal penalties and increased risk of accidents due to unexpected vehicle movements. Now option B will be your correct answer. You are driving on a two-lane road and see the overtaking prohibited sign. The vehicle in front of you is driving below the speed limit and there's a long clear stretch ahead. Under what circumstances, if any, is it legal and safe to overtake another vehicle on this road? Now, even though the question says that there's going to be a long clear stretch ahead, as long as you're seeing a overtaking prohibited sign, you are still not allowed to overtake. So you need to look for the answer that's going to tell you that you cannot overtake at all, right? Obviously until the prohibition sign ends. So is it option A? You may overtake if the road ahead is clear and there are no oncoming vehicles. That is incorrect. With option B, it says you may overtake only if the vehicle in front signals to let you pass. That is incorrect as well. With option C, it says you must not overtake at all until the prohibition sign ends, regardless of the road conditions. That is going to be correct. So option C is your correct answer. You are driving a goods vehicle and approach a slower vehicle ahead on a single carriageway road where the overtaking by goods vehicles prohibited sign is displayed. Under which of the following conditions can you legally overtake? Is it option A? You may overtake if the vehicle ahead is signaling a left turn. Is it option B? You may overtake only if the road ahead is completely clear with no oncoming traffic. Or is it option C? You must not overtake any vehicle until the prohibition zone ends, regardless of traffic conditions. Or is it option D? You may overtake if you are driving an empty goods vehicle. Now again, the road sign is telling you that overtaking by goods vehicles is prohibited. It means under no circumstances are you allowed to do so. And since the question is telling you that you are actually driving a goods vehicle, option C will be your correct answer. You must not overtake any vehicle until the prohibition zone ends, regardless of traffic conditions. You approach an intersection displaying the U-turn prohibited sign. Which of the following statements is true? Now obviously you need to look for the statement that's going to mention that you are not allowed to make a U-turn, obviously at that sign. So is it option A? You may make a U-turn if there's no oncoming traffic. Automatically option A is incorrect. Is it option B? You may make a U-turn only after driving past the sign and turning around at the next available safe spot. That's incorrect. Option C says you are prohibited from making a U-turn at the intersection or anywhere within the zone marked by the sign until you see an end of prohibition sign. That is correct. Because if you look at option D, it says you may reverse your vehicle to perform a U-turn. Now that again is incorrect and that is quite dangerous. So option C will be our only correct answer. When you see a hitchhiking prohibited sign on a busy highway, which of the following statements is correct? Again, look for the statement that's going to be saying that hitchhiking is not going to be allowed, right? So is it option A? Hitchhiking is only prohibited during peak traffic hours. That's incorrect, right? Remember, if you see it on a busy highway, it means that all the time it's going to be prohibited. With option B, it says hitchhiking is prohibited on the entire road until the next end of prohibition sign is shown. Now that is correct. So option B will be your correct answer. You see a parking prohibited sign on a busy street with no additional markings. Which of the following actions is legally permitted? Is it option A, stopping briefly to drop off passengers, then moving on immediately? Now that is going to be correct, because remember, you are not stopping the vehicle and getting off and leaving a vehicle, right? You are just stopping to drop off your passengers and then you're immediately moving on. Because if you look at option B, it says parking a vehicle if you stay inside and keep the engine running. Again, that is classified as parking as well. With option C, it says parking for a maximum of 5 minutes if your hazard lights are on. That's still not allowed. With option D, it says parking only during weekends when traffic is lighter. Now parking is not going to be allowed here all the time, whether it's during weekends when traffic is lighter or the opposite, right? So only option A is our correct answer. You approach a stopping prohibited sign on a busy road. Which of the following actions is allowed? Now this is pretty simple, right? Look for the answer that's going to be telling you that stopping is not allowed. Option A says stopping briefly to let a passenger out, then driving off immediately. That's going to be incorrect. Option B says stopping temporarily to check your GPS, then continuing. Remember, stopping is not allowed for any reason. So option B is going to be incorrect. Option C says stopping only if you are experiencing a mechanical failure or emergency. Or is it option D, stopping for a quick phone call if the road is clear? Now option C is the only correct answer, because remember, mechanical failure or emergency is out of our hands, right? We cannot control that. So that's the only time when stopping is allowed on this road. You see a pedestrians prohibited sign at the entrance of a road. Which of the following statements is true? Is it option A, pedestrians can use the road if they are walking quickly and carefully? Is it option B, pedestrians must find an alternative route or use a designated walkway? Is it option C, pedestrians can cross the road at any point along the stretch as long as there are no vehicles coming? Or is it option D, pedestrians are allowed if accompanied by a vehicle driver? Now from these four options, only option B is going to tell us that pedestrians must find an alternative route or use a designated walkway. Therefore, option B will be your correct answer. You encounter a pedal cycles prohibited sign on a busy highway entrance. Which of the following actions is correct? Option A, cyclists may proceed if they dismount and push their bicycles on the shoulder. Now that is very dangerous, so that is going to be incorrect. With option B, it says cyclists are allowed to ride if they wear a helmet and use reflectors. Cyclists are banned on this highway, right? So it doesn't matter if you're wearing a helmet or you use your reflectors, it's still not going to be allowed. Option C says cyclists must find an alternative route and are not allowed to use the highway at all. So option C will be the correct answer. And for our last question, you are approaching a tunnel where the sign pedal cycles and pedestrians prohibited is posted. What is the most appropriate course of action for a delivery cyclist who must make a drop-off on the other side? Is it option A, dismount and push the bicycle through the tunnel, walking on the side? Now from the previous question, we know that that is incorrect. Is it option B, ride through the tunnel cautiously, keeping to the far left? Or is it option C, use a different permitted route to reach the destination? Or is it option D, proceed if no vehicles are coming and traffic is light? Now the only answer that's telling us to use a different permitted route will be option C. Therefore option C will be your correct answer. All other options are illegal because it's still telling you to use that road or the tunnel. So question 21. Which of the following scenarios would be a direct violation of the sign? Now we can see that this is going to be a motorcycles prohibited sign, right? So is the correct answer option A, a delivery scooter bypassing traffic on the shoulder to make a drop-off? Is it option B, a cyclist using the same road as a pedestrian in a shared cycle lane? Is it option C, a motorcyclist pushing their motorcycle while the engine is off? Or is it option D, a motorcycle transported on a trailer being towed through the area? Now if we take a look at our options, option A is going to be the only option that's going to involve, a motorcycle that's going to be in use, right? And that is going to be a violation since this road sign is going to be prohibiting motorcycles in this area. Therefore, option A is going to be our correct answer, right? Option B, option C, and option D do not involve the active riding of a motorcycle on the road. Question 22. Which of the following drivers will be legally permitted to use a road marked with this sign? Now this sign is going to be a motor cars prohibited sign. So is your answer option A person driving a compact hatchback with a disabled parking permit? Is it going to be option B, a person towing a small car and a flatbed trailer using a goods vehicle? Is it going to be option C, a driver of an SUV who switches to electric mode to reduce noise and emissions? Or is it going to be option D, a driver of a light duty panel van used for private transport? Now since the sign is going to prohibit your motor cars from using this specific part of the road, automatically option A, option C and option D are all going to involve your private motor cars, right? So that means that option A, C and D cannot be your answer. The only correct answer here is going to be option B, because remember, a goods vehicle that's going to be towing a car is not going to fall under the category of a motor car. Therefore, it's not going to be violating any restriction. Question 23. A taxi's prohibited sign is placed at the entrance of a suburban road. In which of the following situations would a traffic officer be correct in issuing a fine? So is it option A private sedan carrying your kids from school? Is it going to be option B, a bakkie? Is it going to be option C, a marked meter taxi driving through the road to avoid traffic? Or is it going to be option D, a truck? Now remember, from these four options, only option C is going to mention a taxi, right? Option A, B and D are all going to mention other types of vehicles. Therefore, option C is going to be our correct answer. Question 24. A minibus's prohibited sign is posted at the start of a narrow residential lane. Which of the following drivers would be in violation of the sign? Is it option A 12-seater minibus hired privately to transport guests to a wedding venue? Is it option B, a panel van converted into a private family vehicle? Is it option C, a delivery van with similar dimensions to a minibus? Or is it option D, a minibus carrying a school sports team? So now the sign is only going to prohibit minibuses, right? Now straight away from our four options, we can see that option A is going to mention a 12-seater minibus, right? So automatically option A is going to be a correct answer, right? Option B, C and D are all going to be incorrect because obviously they do not meet the legal classification of a minibus. Question 25. A route to a mountainous heritage site displays a minibus's prohibited sign at its entrance. Which of the following vehicles is legally allowed to proceed? Is it option A 22-seater tourist bus classified as a minibus? Is it option B, a 9-seater vehicle used by a private shuttle service? Is it option C, a 35-seater minibus? Or is it option D, a 20-seater minibus? So option A, C and D are all going to be classified as a minibus, right? Obviously you can see directly from the answer itself. So basically they want to know which vehicle is going to be allowed. And option B, a 9-seater vehicle, is going to be classified as a minibus. Therefore, option B is going to be allowed. Because remember, the sign is only going to prohibit minibuses. Therefore, option B will be our correct answer. Question 26. A school places a bus's prohibited sign at the entrance to its narrow service road. On a rainy day, which of the following vehicles would violate this restriction? Is it option A 7-seater family van dropping off learners? Is it option B, a 15-seater minibus transporting a school sports team? Is it option C, a 25-seater minibus used by a private shuttle company? Or is it option D, a 40-seater full-size bus chartered for a school field trip? Now from all four of these options, only option D is going to be a regular full-length bus. Remember, a regular full-length bus is generally going to have more than 35 seats, right? And since option D is only going to be the one with over 35 seats, it means that option D will be our correct answer. Question 27. You see a delivery vehicle's prohibited sign at the entrance of a suburban complex. Which of the following vehicles would be breaking the law by entering? Is it option A, a driver transporting furniture in a private bakkie for a friend who just moved in? Is it option B, a registered courier company van delivering online shopping packages? Is it option C, a pickup truck carrying tools for a plumber coming to fix a resident's bathroom? Or is it option D, a regular sedan delivering pizza from a local fast food outlet? Now if you look at our options, only option B is going to mention a commercial delivery vehicle, which the sign is then going to prohibit. So option A, C and D are going to be incorrect, whereas option B is going to be your only correct answer. Question 28. You're approaching a narrow mountain pass with a goods vehicles prohibited sign. Which vehicle is legally not allowed to proceed? Is it option A small panel van transporting plumbing equipment? Is it option B, a double cab bakkie used privately for weekend trips? Is it option C, a 2-ton truck carrying garden soil for delivery to a nursery? Or is it option D, a station wagon loaded with household groceries? Now if we look at our options, right, option C is going to mention a 2-ton truck carrying garden soil for delivery to a nursery. Now this 2-ton truck that's going to be used for transporting goods is going to fall directly into our category. Therefore option C will be our correct answer. Question 29. You are driving a 12-ton goods vehicle transporting construction supplies and approach a sign prohibiting goods vehicles over 10 tons GVM. Which of the following statements is most accurate? Is it option A, you may proceed if the road is quiet and no alternative route is available? Is it option B, you are allowed to pass the sign only if your vehicle is empty? Is it option C, you may continue only if your load weighs less than 10 tons? Or is your answer option D, you must not proceed regardless of whether your load is under or over 10 tons? Now remember, this sign is going to prohibit vehicles that are weighing over 10 tons, right? And our question specifically mentions that the truck that we're driving weighs 12 tons. So automatically option D will be our correct answer. Question 30. A contractor dispatches a front-end loader to a construction site via a public road and the driver encounters a construction vehicle's prohibited sign. What is the correct legal action? Is it option A, the driver may proceed if displaying a hazard triangle and flashing lights? Is it option B, the driver may use the road only during non-peak traffic hours? Is it option C, the driver must not proceed even if it's the shortest route to the site? Or is it option D, the driver can continue as long as an escort vehicle is present? Now remember, this sign is going to prohibit all construction vehicles, right? Remember, no matter what construction vehicle you are driving, it's going to be prohibited. Therefore option C will be our correct answer. The driver must not proceed even if it's the shortest route to the site. Question 31. You are driving a truck carrying flammable liquids and approach a road displaying the vehicles conveying dangerous goods prohibited sign. Which of the following actions is correct? Is it option A, you may continue if the truck is empty and not carrying any hazardous materials? Is it option B, you can proceed if you have a permit from the local authority? Is it option C, you must not proceed under any circumstances even if the cargo is packaged according to regulations? Or is it option D, you may drive through if escorted by a police vehicle? Now remember, this sign is going to strictly prohibit any vehicle that's going to be transporting dangerous or hazardous goods. And since you are carrying flammable liquids, that means that your vehicle will be a hazardous vehicle. Therefore option C will be your correct answer. You must not proceed under any circumstances even if the cargo is packaged according to regulations. Question 32. You are driving an oversized vehicle carrying a load that exceeds standard width and length regulations. Upon seeing the abnormal vehicle prohibited sign, which of the following is true? Now remember, if your vehicle is going to exceed your standard width and length regulations, it means that your vehicle is going to be an abnormal vehicle, right? So is your answer option A, you may proceed if you have special transport permits and travel during daylight hours? Is it option B, you must find an alternative route regardless of permits or time of day? Is it option C, you can proceed if accompanied by a pilot vehicle or escort? Or is it option D, you may continue if the load does not exceed the height limit posted on nearby signs? Now since we already established that you are actually driving an abnormal vehicle, it means that you cannot enter this road. Therefore option B will be your correct answer. You must find an alternative route regardless of permits or time of day. Question 33. You are driving a rickshaw and encounter a road displaying the rickshaw's prohibited sign. Which of the following is the correct course of action? Is it option A? You may only proceed if your rickshaw is electric and meets noise regulations. Is it option B? You must find an alternate route immediately and cannot continue on this road. Is it option C? You may continue if you are transporting passengers to the nearest drop-off point. Or is it option D? You can proceed if you travel during off-peak hours only. Now, if a road sign is going to be prohibiting rickshaws and you are driving a rickshaw, it means that you need to find an alternative route immediately and you cannot continue on that road. Therefore, option B will be our correct answer. Question 34. You are driving a tour bus and approach a section of road displaying the tour bus's prohibited sign. Under which circumstances, if any, are you allowed to proceed? So automatically, right, if you are approaching a tour bus's prohibited sign and you are driving a tour bus, automatically you should know that you cannot enter this road at all. So look for the answer that's going to be telling you that you are prohibited from entering that road, right? And from our 4 options, we can see that option B is going to be that answer. Therefore, option B, you must not proceed under any circumstances on this road, will be your correct answer. Question 35. While driving an agricultural tractor, you see the agricultural vehicle's prohibited sign ahead. Which of the following is correct regarding your options? Is it option A? You may proceed if transporting agricultural produce directly to a nearby market. Is it option B? You must stop and find an alternative route suitable for agricultural vehicles. Is it option C? You can't proceed only if your vehicle's width does not exceed the posted limits on other signs. Or is your correct answer option D? You may continue if you are driving during off-peak hours. Now again, it's the same as the previous question. Option B is going to be our correct answer. Question 36. You are driving a cart pulled by an animal and approach a road with the animal-drawn vehicle's prohibited sign displayed. What is your legal obligation? Obviously, your legal obligation is not going to be to enter that road. It's going to find another road where you are allowed to ride on, right? Therefore, option B will be your correct answer. You must immediately find an alternative route and not use the prohibited road. Question 37. While riding a horse, you approach a section of the road displaying the horses and riders prohibited sign. Which of the following actions is legally correct? Is it option A? You may dismount and lead your horse on foot along the road if there is no alternative route. Is it option B? You must find an alternative route for both yourself and your horse without using the prohibited road. Is it option C? You may continue riding if the road is not busy with motor vehicles. Or is the correct answer option D? You can proceed if you are riding at a walking pace only. Now with option A, it's a bit of a problem, right? Because they say you may dismount and lead your horse on foot along the road if there's no alternative route. A lot of the times people are going to make the mistake of selecting that option. Now that option is still very dangerous, right? You are prohibited from entering the road for a reason. Therefore, option B will be your correct answer. You must find an alternative route for both yourself and your horse without using the prohibited road. You are driving through a residential area where the excessive noise prohibited sign is displayed. Which of the following behaviors is most likely to result in a traffic violation? Option A. Using your vehicle's horn only in emergencies to alert pedestrians. Is it option B? Accelerating aggressively, causing your engine and exhaust noise to increase significantly. Is it option C? Driving with your radio playing music at a moderate volume inside your vehicle. Or is it option D? Driving with windows slightly open without any additional noise producing modifications. Now the correct answer here is going to be option B, accelerating aggressively, causing your engine and exhaust noise to increase significantly. Because option A, C and D are all allowed. Question 39. You are driving through a zone marked with a hawker's prohibited sign. Which of the following is true regarding your pedestrian hawkers in this area? So hawkers are basically going to be the aunties that are sitting on the side of the road selling things. So is your correct answer option A? Pedestrians may sell goods but only on the sidewalks, not on the road. Is it option B? Hawkers are not allowed to sell goods or solicit customers within the marked area at any time. Is it option C? Hawkers can operate during daylight hours but must clear the area by sunset. Is it option D? Hawkers can sell goods if they have a valid permit from the local municipality. Now the correct answer here is going to be option B. Hawkers are not allowed to sell goods or solicit customers within the marked area at any time. And question 40. You approach a road displaying the towed vehicle's prohibited sign. Which of the following statements is correct regarding a vehicle if it is being towed? Is it option A, you may proceed only if the towing vehicle is a licensed commercial tow truck? Is it option B, you are allowed to continue on the road if the towed vehicle does not exceed 3 meters? Is it option C, you must find an alternative route as towing any vehicle on this road is strictly prohibited? Or is it option D, you may proceed if the towed vehicle's brakes are fully functional? Now again, this is going to be a prohibition sign, therefore option C is going to be a correct answer. You must find an alternative route as towing any vehicle on this road is strictly forbidden. And that's it for today guys. This is going to wrap up part 2 of the Prohibition road sign series. Now part 1 and part 2 combined will feature every single Prohibition road sign that you will need to know for your learner's license test. I want to thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it this far to the end of the video. If you found that this video was helpful, please give the video a like, and if you want more videos of this, then please subscribe. I want to wish you all the best for your learner's license test. Stay blessed, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.